Round of applause for Dave, our speaker. Yay! Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. So again, I'm Dave Ray. I know some of you. Some of you are new to me, but I've been a member for about 2 years. And I talked to Carla, and we thought getting a little bit of some information out there on how to present yourself and how to market your book would be really good. So, start with a quote. A very famous writer once said, "You are your own best advertising asset." That was me today. So, let's go back. The reason I say that is for two things. Number one, when you get in front of a group of people, you have a friendly group that's predisposed to buying your book, hiring you for your services, and being one of your constituents, your clients, your readers. Secondly, when you stand up in front of a group like we are today, and the spotlight's on you, you have a sense of authority that makes people feel more comfortable with working with you. They believe in you, and they believe that you can help them with their problems. So speaking, whether it's live on virtual events, on podcasts, is a great, great opportunity for you to get your word out, get your authority out there, and build your followers. So real quickly, my story is to eradicate death by PowerPoint from the face of the earth. It started a couple of years ago. I was at a convention. I won't tell you the name of the convention because I don't want to be judged, but if you insist, it's going to be the Contact in the Desert. It was for UFOs and aliens, and it's the biggest conference in UFOs and aliens in the country. And I was a room monitor. I was helping the speakers basically get on time, help them with any administrative needs that they have. And this one particular speaker that came in, she was a mess. She was 20 minutes late. We had people wandering all over the hotel looking for her. We had everybody, all the AV people trying to find her. She finally showed up. It was no big deal to her that she was 20 minutes late. She couldn't get her PowerPoint working on the computer. She had the audiovisual guy helping her, and it was just taking longer and longer and longer. When she finally got ready, she was probably about a half an hour late starting. She started reading these enormous paragraphs of words, word for word, slide by slide. And so I'm the room monitor. I have to make sure that she gets done on time so that the next speaker can come in. And I had the little cards to show her, like, 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go, time to get off the stage. And I was freaking out that she wasn't going to be ready on time. So finally she ended with no time for questions, and we got her out of the room. And I thought, boy, this is something that needs some work. And I was thinking, just several months before then, I was in a motivational seminar, and they had a bunch of school kids that came to hear the keynote speaker. The people running the organization were letting the speakers go longer and longer and longer every time. So by the time the keynote speaker was ready to go, it was way after the ending time of the event. So when you have kids in a bus, they're on a schedule. They're supposed to leave at 4. The bus is there at 4 o'clock, and they leave. So when the kids all left, when they were still having 2 more speakers to go, and they missed out on this keynote speaker. So finally the keynote speaker came up. This guy had no legs and 1 arm, and he was talking about positive thinking and motivation. So don't you think those kids needed to hear that guy talking about positive motivation? And they had left an hour before, or about a half an hour before he even got on the stage. So I was thinking, with the speakers and the organizers having just so many types of issues, I thought there's got to be someone that can get in there and talk about it. So that's going to be me. So that is my new mission, to eradicate death by PowerPoint from the face of the earth. So for our agenda today, we're going to have a punchy opening. I think I did that. I hope I did that. We're going to become best friends. We're going to have some riveting, relevant content. We're going to talk about, where do you find speaking opportunities? We're going to find about your speakers package for your advertising and marketing. We're going to be talking about how to maximize book sales during your events. And oh yeah, we're going to talk about putting on a good presentation while you're here. We're going to have some fun and surprises, and we're going to have some fabulous giveaways to our contestants today. We'll do a little bit of a wrap up, and I will have a very inspiring send off. Okay, so we're going to start with a couple of jokes. I hope that's okay. And I ran them by Carla, so they've been approved. Okay. Number one, how long will it take an author to write a guide to the world's greatest beers? Depends on the author. You're right, going down the right alley. It depends on how many drafts he needs. Okay, what's the difference between a first-time author and a pizza? A pizza. Well, a pizza can feed a family of 4. And an author walks into a library and says, "Good morning, I'd like a cheeseburger and fries." And the librarian says, "Sir, you're in a library." He says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'd like a cheeseburger and fries." Okay, here's the fun one now. This is a comparison joke. A book critic is to an author as a dog is to a what? A squeaky toy? You're close, close. Okay, a book critic is to an author as a dog is to a fire hydrant. He rains on your parade. Okay. Did you really say that? Yes, I really said that. Okay, a quick audience participation survey. How many people here have actually marketed their book themselves? Almost everybody, right? Yep, probably. Okay, good. So what types of mechanisms have you used? What types of marketing techniques, or really it would be advertising techniques because you want people to buy your book. What types of advertising techniques have you used to sell and advertise your book? Podcasts, very good. That's very big nowadays. And it's so easy because you don't need all the equipment. You just walk in and you're the guest and you talk and you get the authority of the podcast host to his audience or her audience. And you just kind of walk in, talk, and walk out. So that's a great way to do it. And it's everlasting. Yeah, evergreen. Yep, exactly. Any other ideas on how you... YouTube, okay, exactly. YouTube is a huge search engine. Second only to Google. But yes, it's an amazing venue to put your work on. Short videos, long videos, anything you want. 2 minutes, an hour, it'll take everything you want. And basically, it's a free service for you to have. So it's a great way to advertise your book. Yeah, Facebook groups. You get groups of readers who like certain genres or people that are in certain industries. Yeah, those would be that predisposed audience that are already predisposed to your work. Yeah. Oh yeah, but I created an Instagram. Yes, Instagram and all the like TikTok and Etsy and all those specialty websites are really great for people selling books. Okay, perfect. So let's get into the meat of the matter while you're here today. Okay. First topic, we're going to have the 4 topics. First topic is finding speaking opportunities, okay? So first of all, you want to identify who your target audience is, who your dream client is that you're going to be looking for. And you're going to want to find out or try to figure out where they live, the types of websites they go to, the types of meetings they go to, the places, the times. Is it stay-at-home moms that are at home all day and they have middle of the day time that they can go on YouTube? Or is it working professionals that have to go to meetings after hours or before breakfast, before work? Figure out what types of places those people congregate in and the types of things that they like to look at, whether it's TV, radio, movies, all those types of things where you can find them and address your needs to them. Okay, again, the types of venues, whether it's networking groups, whether it's book groups, whether it's professional organizations, chambers of commerce, other smaller business associations, anything that gets people together in a like frame of mind is going to be the best place to start that aligns with your particular book, whether it's a home improvement book or a fictional novel or a self-help book. My book in particular is on how to write better letters, so it's a sort of a self-development kind of a genre. And the way to make your contacts, basically the people that run those meetings and the people that organize those meetings and the places that those meetings are housed at, the websites that host the virtual meetings, those types of places would be the places to go to look for the people that organize those meetings and that hire or sign up for the speakers, where you can go and address those groups. And then the actual booking contract. So that would be searches, mostly either through online, but you can even go old-fashioned. You can just talk to people, networking with people from work or from the businesses that you work with or your associations that you're in. Ask, do you have any friends that run meetings? Do you have any people that you work with that are in charge of looking for speakers to come to the meetings? So you see the civic organizations like the Lions Club, the Rotary, the Optimists, those types of groups always need speakers, and usually they have like a speaker manager or a program manager that picks up those people. Those are the great people to talk with. You can look them up online. You can look up like Del Mar Rotary Club, and you'll find the website, and you'll have the organization, have the president and the vice president and the program manager right there on the front page. So you can go there and do that type of research. Okay, so creating your speakers package. I've got one or two little examples I'd like to show you today. This is called a one sheet, and some of you may have seen it before. It is basically just one sheet of paper, everything on there on one sheet. And it's used to give your information, your stats, your bio to someone who might be hiring you or might be bringing you in, either to do a presentation or to talk to somebody. And that is something that can be done pretty easily. They've got templates you can get on Canva, or you can just do have a designer do it for you. But basically, it gives them a snapshot of maybe the type of stuff you speak about, the type of topics that you speak about, and maybe a couple of quotes from past people who have listened to you speak. It gives a little bit of your experience and a photo generally, because people always like to see who they're talking to. And you put that together and you can mail it to them, you can email it to them, you can hand it to them in a meeting. It's very good for personal reasons to get all those. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so the first thing is your bio. Now, when you have a bio, you want to have a long one and a short one. You want to have one that's maybe 200 or 300 words, and you want to have one that's about 50 or 75 words, because you don't know what type of information that people are going to need, how much time they're going to have to introduce you, or where it's going to be placed. Maybe it's going to be sent out in an email, in a newsletter, and they want a full bio. Maybe they only have a few seconds to introduce you in a very short meeting, so they only want just a 20 or 30-second bio. And the one sheet, like we're showing, passing around now. And then EPS is called your expert positioning statement. You can use that as an author, you can use that as a business coach, you can use that for a lot of reasons, but basically it defines the people you're addressing and the need that you're filling. So for example, I would say my expert positioning statement is that I work with business professionals who dread speaking in public to help them feel relaxed, confident, and ready to go so that they can build authority, create opportunities for themselves, and make lasting impressions on their audience. So it's, no, you can ask a question now.
It's quite easy, groups who want
Yes.
and but that's fine, and I like the idea of putting together, present yourself, and they have something to say.
Sure.
But then my question always becomes, do I schlep books there?
we're going to talk about that. That's coming up. So that's like a plan. It's very good. Yeah, they can get very heavy. And yeah, right, exactly. We're gonna talk about that because I've been with other groups of writers and speakers that went to an event and they had to pay to ship a whole case of books, and they only sold like 1 or 2 books, and then they had to pay to ship that whole case of books back home again. So that's a perfect question. Okay, a talk description, and I want to say use juicy words, whether it's the title or the language in the description. You want to make it really interesting for people. You want to get their attention. You want them to want to read it, and then get them to want to hire you or bring you in, even if it's a free speech. So use really juicy words. And for that, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but AI is the big thing nowadays. You know, we've had AI for years. You just go to merriam-webster.com and type in, you know, a word, and, you know, at the bottom of the page, it gives you a whole bunch of synonyms and antonyms. So we've used AI in lots of ways for years. Okay, so to charge and not to charge. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are trying to get paid speaking, but there's a lot of opportunities for non-paid speaking, and both of them are good. Both of them have their use. You don't necessarily have to get paid, but you can certainly get a lot more opportunities that are not being paid just to get exposure. And when you're starting out, usually you just want exposure. I say there's more than money to the deal. Sometimes you go to a particular group or organization, they don't have a budget to pay you, but they can give you maybe a gift card. Maybe they get donations from their members and they can give you a $50 Amazon gift card, or they can take you out to lunch, or they can do anything that's not an actual like a remuneration or an honorarium that you can get sometimes. But if they can't do that, they can give you something in other words. Maybe they give you an opportunity to sell your books at the end. And then book tie-in strategies. Basically, you can use a little bit of your book as part of the presentation. You can maybe take one very, very small chapter, maybe a 3 or 4 page chapter, and talk about that as part of your actual presentation. You can have the cover photo and put it out on social media beforehand to advertise the upcoming event. You can do some sort of a post or an announcement after the fact saying, hey, I had a great opportunity to speak to the publishers and writers of San Diego last Saturday, had a great group of people, had a lot of great questions, and here's a photo of my book cover. If you have any questions, please DM me or something. Basically, any way that you can do before the fact advertising as well as after the fact advertising is going to build your presence. Okay, so now maximizing your book sales during the event. So like you talked about, it's really tough to carry a whole big box of books there and only sell a few and then have to carry the whole box of books home again. So part of that is the research beforehand. You want to try to figure out how many people are going to be in the group, what would be a likely number that might want to buy my book, and then maybe you bring 10 books rather than a whole case. You want to also make sure that, well, let's go here. So the back of the room sales, they call it, like after the fact, after you've spoken, you usually will maybe have a spouse or a friend or an employee selling books for you so that you can maintain contact with the people in the audience, maybe talking after questions. It just depends on the situation, how much time you have afterwards. But you always want to try to have an assistant. If you're going to do anything other than just stand and talk, you want to have an assistant. So today my wife, Mary Jo, is helping me with my camera. We're videoing it. She's helped me carry the stuff out of the car. She'll maybe help if anybody does want to buy a book. But trying to do everything yourself is not the best way to go. You want to try to enlist somebody, a son or a daughter, a spouse, a friend, anybody. If you have employees, have them come in to help you so that you don't have to do everything yourself. Payment options, make sure you take as many payment options as you can. Now, some people, like I'm limited, my My credit union that has my business account does not allow Zelle and all those other digital payments because of security reasons. So I can only take cash checks and credit cards. So I use my wife's Zelle account to get the money. We deposit it to my business account, and that's how we track that. But you have to make sure you track it because you want to make sure that if the IRS comes after you, you can say, hey, I've got everything down. I got all my ducks in a row, and they don't get any money. So I say, don't forget sales tax when you're selling books yourself at events like this. You do need to take into account sales tax. And it's different for every county, it's different for every city. There's a chart you can look up, but you track that and you track that separately from other expenses so that you send that sales tax in at the end of the year, at the end of the quarter, depending on how much you're bringing in. And you want to make that accounted for separately in all your accounting statements. Promotional materials. You can have things like bookmarks with your logo on them. You can have things like, certainly your business card would be one thing, but you can also have any kind of leave behinds, they call them, would be like a flyer or a little like a rack card, maybe like it's a third of a sheet of paper, and it makes it really efficient when you print them out because you do it out 3 up on a sheet of paper and you slice them in thirds and you get 3 times as many. So when you're doing stuff at the printers, it makes it a little bit more cost effective. Okay, so do I give away free books? Absolutely, you should give away free books. That's a great marketing tool. It's an elaborate or an extended version of your business card. People sometimes, they get tied up on if I give away my books, I'm not getting the money from the books. Well, that's true. But you may get more on the other end by giving an influential person your book who they read it, they like it, they can talk about it to their sphere of influence. And by giving away 1 copy of a book, you might sell 20 or 30. So giving away books is not a bad thing. And then book signing logistics. When you have book signings, you again want to do some research, figure out how many people are expected to show up, and maybe pre-sign the books. You can, what I like to do is I like to make sure I use the same pen when I pre-sign them in the morning or the day before, and then I take that same pen, so then for each individual book, I can just type in, I can write in to Laura or to Jim or to Dave, and then the rest of the message is already pre-written, so it saves time from having people standing in line a long time, because that would turn a really good situation negatively by having people sort of upset that they had to wait in line a long time. So try to streamline those processes when you have them. Yes? Yes.
Go through the line, verify the spelling of the name.
Yes.
So that when you come up, you can engage with it.
Exactly.
But not have to just say,
Yes. That's a great idea.
yeah.
That's really good. That's a good time saver. Yes.
I always wonder what do people write? So what was your thing again? It's like just the name, but something else.
Well, I mean, it depends on the person. It depends on the number of people. A lot of times, all you get is the signature. Sometimes the better known people, just having their signature in the book is, makes the book more valuable. For me, I'm a little bit more interactive. I like working with the people. So for my book in particular, I usually, if I have the time, I usually write, "Thanks for being the newest member of my posse," because it's verbal vigilante and it's about going out and protecting everyday citizens from the perils of the English language. So I have them say, "Thank you for being the newest member of my posse." But that's just me. I mean, you can just do just the signature. Yes. Oh, yes. Right. Yeah. Yep. Okay, there you go.
What do you do? And I say, oh, and I just hand them one.
Yep.
And I have, and it's amazing.
Okay, excellent, excellent.
If they just even look at your Amazon
Yep.
rating,
Yes,
So it's,
exactly.
even if they don't buy it,
Exactly. Yep.
You take the link from Amazon or
There are applications that create QR codes for you. Yep. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Exactly.
you take your drop it in, the QR code.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty
then all
cool.
you have to do is just grab it.
Yep.
You just go quick.
Yeah.
Works right.
Yep. Absolutely. And then I always say arrive early for your setups.
the only good thing that came out of the pandemic is we all know now how to use QR.
Yeah, exactly. 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 All right. So always arrive early for your setup because there's always going to be things that will happen. Anything from the power outlet not working to the computer not working. So you always want to give extra time to set up. Yes.
Read Holland books. Suppose there's going to be. I've heard this. People negotiate.
Yes.
They know they're going to be giving away.
Yes. Absolutely.
You're gonna have
That's
to
something
stuff
you
like
would.
that.
Well.
In negotiating fees.
Yeah. I'm not going to directly talk about it, but that is one of the things you would negotiate. Whether you're going to stay later and mingle. Maybe there's a social hour. How long during the day do they want you for just a 1 hour, for like a 3 hour workshop, for a whole day? Are there going to be books included? Are they going to guarantee that they will buy a certain number of books from you? All those things are included when you're figuring out like what sort of a fee you're going to ask for. But definitely, yeah.
So another thing that I have found to be reliable is a ballpark. How many people are going to be at whatever your
Yes.
presentation, and about 20%.
There you go. Perfect.
If
Perfect.
it's 50 people.
Perfect. Okay, let's have a stretch break. This is something I do in my longer presentations, but I wanted to do it today as almost a little bit of a demonstration of what you can include in your presentations. So everybody get up, and we're just gonna stretch, reach for the ceiling, bring your arms up however you're available. I don't want anybody to hurt themselves, but this is something that always is great to make the blood flowing and help people from falling asleep. All right. Thank you. That was great. Good job, everybody. And like I say, I've done hour-long presentations. I've done short presentations. If you're speaking for more than about 45 minutes, I would definitely include a stretch break. Okay, crafting your presentation. This is why you're here today. This is the good stuff. So number one, you want to structure your content to promote your book or your service. So you want to figure out from the organizer what is the topic they want you to talk about, and you want to make sure that you give the value to the people in the audience of what they need to hear, what they want to hear. But you also want to include, if you can, how your book ties into the presentation, the reason why you're speaking. Now, for me in particular, my book's topic is different from what I'm speaking about today. So there isn't a direct tie-in, but you want to try to make that if you can, and try to, most of the time, try to speak on a topic that directly ties into your book. You want to balance what you're doing in the program with the value that you're giving from the content with a little bit of sales. You definitely do not want to push the sales a lot. You really want to give the value to the clients, the audience members, the people who are attending the event, so that they can get what they're expecting. They're finding some answers to their problems. You're helping them identify situations that they need to know about, or giving them information on like software or services that they might need for their business or to help them write their next book. with a little bit of sales at the end, because obviously the reason that you're an author is because you want to sell some books, and the reason that people, if you're speaking to other authors, they want to sell their books too. I would use lots of different mechanisms for your presentation. Stories, personal anecdotes, jokes, like we started with a couple of jokes today. Make it fun, include some of the different senses, the hearing, the seeing, the smelling. My wife, Mary Jo, in the back there makes some homemade vanilla. It's the best vanilla, like vanilla extract, like when you're baking. And so I actually brought that to a presentation I gave one time and had people just kind of sniff the vanilla as they were passing it around. So you can do anything in terms of the senses, the hearing, the smelling, sounds. You can do videos, you can do stories, you can play games, you can do songs. I was telling Carla that I did one where we did the bend and stretch from the old romper room from the 60s to help people get ready for their afternoon series of lectures. You want to grab their attention at the beginning, hopefully, if you can, and hold it the whole time so that they're thinking and they're interacting with you, because there could be just that one little nugget tucked deep in the middle of your speech that they really need to hear. And if they're daydreaming, or if they're dozing off, or if they're looking at their phone, they may miss that one nugget that they really, really needed to hear. So you want their full attention the whole time if you can. And movement, like I just mentioned, for me, the way I like to look at it is if you're doing more than 45 minutes, you ought to have just a quick little session in there where people at least stand up and move their hands and arms around. I've been in 90-minute presentations where people are falling asleep, especially if it's the second briefing after lunch. Not the very first one that starts at 1, but the one that starts at 2 and goes from 2 to 3. That's the worst. You don't want that time slot. And if you do, you got to get people up out of their chairs. And you want to make it fun. You want to make it fun. Relevant, fun, and you want to be confident. And we'll talk about those 3 things coming up in the next slide. Okay, so relevant to the needs of the group. Usually I do a discovery call beforehand with the person that's running the meeting to find out what the group needs to hear about, what they want to hear about, what they've been hearing about in previous presentations, what they don't want to hear about. Maybe they've heard similar topics 2 or 3 months in a row, so you want to stay away from those topics. But what does the group need? What do they want? And I try to craft my speech right down that lane. So I ask the representative, and again, that's going to be someone different. It could be the president of the group, if it's a smaller group. It could be a designated program manager that goes out and actively looks for speakers. It could be the vice president. That might be their duty for the group, is to find the speakers. You don't know, you have to ask, and you have to do some research. So you want to make it fun via the content that you put in and how you execute it, both. I talked about the juicy words earlier. Juicy, like think of a medium rare steak sitting on a big cutting board and you're cutting into it and the juice is just dribbling off onto the board. You want your words and your emotions kind of dribbling out of your speech onto the people in the audience, and they're getting the real full sense of what you're talking about. Jokes and stories are always good. You got to be careful, because I gave a joke once that someone thought was kind of dirty, but I didn't think was dirty at all. And they were really offended. So you got to be really careful. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Perfect. Yeah. I talk about making your presentation like a Broadway musical. So a Broadway musical has props, has costumes, has an orchestra, has singing, has the highs and the lows. The people are laughing, people are crying. Think of if you were to put on a Broadway musical, what would you want in it? And use that thought to kind of guide the stuff that you're putting into your presentation. Also, you want to walk around. I haven't walked around too much today, but you do want to walk around, get up close and personal with the audience. You don't want to just stay here behind the podium. You want to be out and with the people to create that rapport, create that sense of belonging. And like I had in the very first slide, BFF. So we want to be best friends forever. And then audience input. People enjoy talking back and forth to people when they're doing presentations. People have questions. They want to get their questions answered. They like making their suggestions and their inputs like you've already done today a couple of times. So take that part of your presentation. Account for that in the timing, that how long you're going to be speaking for, that you will have some people asking questions and offering ideas and suggestions. And don't time it down to the wire with your content because it'll always go over. And then the confidence part. So the confidence, people always say, I get so nervous when I'm going to speak, and how do I be more confident when I speak? All that kind of stuff boils down to confidence and stress and anxiety. For me, in fact, I was talking to Bonnie, right? No, Donna. Sorry about that. Before the meeting today, and we're both big checklist people. So I got that when I was in the Navy, flying in aviation, and everything you do in aviation, you live and you die by checklists. So I brought that into my coaching. I like to do a lot of checklists, a lot of templates, a lot of worksheets, put everything into a system. You just go right down the list. This is what I'm going to wear. This is what the joke I'm going to tell. This is what time I'm going to arrive. This is what I'm going to use for my leave behinds. This is what I'm going to do for every little thing. And once you have that in the checklist, you know that you're not going to forget it, and you have an idea of what you're going to do with it. And I think that, number one, brings away a lot of the anxiety, first of all. So that helps you feel more confident just because you're not going to forget something. Also, practice. You want to, there we go. Sorry about that. You want to preview the venue that you're at so you know what it's looking like, what it sounds like, what the lighting is like. Is there a spotlight? Is there a stage? Are you just on the floor in front of a group of tables? Knowing that in advance will also help with the confidence, like you're not walking into an unknown. The sight lines for who can see you and how they can see you. And if you have a camera, like we're videoing this morning, how far I can walk to about here, I think, maybe here. And I can walk back to about here. And that's, my wife and I, we pre-scripted that when we got the camera set up. So now I know where I can go, so I'm always in the frame. But also in terms of how the audience can see you. Sometimes there are large auditoriums, and some of the seats, you don't get a good sight line, so you have to know about that. So you make sure that everybody can see you for the whole process. And the lighting, is there going to be a spotlight, or is there ceiling lighting going to be adequate for people to see you and for the camera to pick you up? And then the technical stuff, that's a killer. The cabling, what kind, if you're going to use a PowerPoint, a lot of times you won't, but if you do, are you going to need to have the computer plugged in? Is there an outlet for the power? What kind of a cable does it take? Is it an HDMI, or is it an old-fashioned cable? You want to have backups. I'm a big backup person, backups and backups. So I have my presentation is on the computer. It's also on a zip drive that I brought with me in case I needed to use someone else's computer. If this computer crashed for some reason, I have handwritten notes of everything I'm going to talk about in case. Yeah, look at that. It's been doing that all day. So, but yeah, I have handwritten notes in case I'm computerless. If we have like no power, I could actually do this in a dark room with no power, just having my handwritten notes. Oh yeah, and the bathrooms. Always know where the bathrooms are. That's important for me, but it's also important for anybody. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so, and then again, practice early. Go through your presentation a couple of times to see how long it lasts. I'm watching the clock. We're much better on time than I thought. But how much time you're allotted. I told you the story about the guy with no arms and one leg. No legs and one arm. He was kind of flopping around on the stage there, but he was an amazing speaker. And I'm telling you, those like 200 school kids, they just got up and left when they're scheduled time to leave came, and they needed to see that guy talk. And because every speaker all day long had gone a little more, maybe about 10 minutes longer than they needed to or they should have. And then all of a sudden, this like must have been 200 kids just miss out on this amazing presentation that they should have heard. So you want to make sure you keep to your time. And then your arrival time, figure out what time are you supposed to speak. If you're in a meeting, what time does the meeting start? And then do you speak at the beginning? Do you speak at the end? So get a real good feel for like when you're actually going to be speaking, how much time it's going to take to set up, what time you need to get there to start setting up. Can you get into the room early? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. And even where in the complex you are going to be speaking. I was at a hotel once for a conference, and just from the parking lot to the ballroom where our conference was being held, it was about a 15-minute walk. That's crazy. So you don't know that. And I've been given directions sometimes where they give you like the actual street address of the facility, but this facility is this multi-building complex, and you don't even know which building you're going to or which door you have to go into. So all you get is just a street address. So prep beforehand, figuring out where you're going to be speaking and where you're going to have to get to, how long it takes to get from the parking lot to the room you're speaking in, how many trips you're going to take. If you're lugging a big case of books, you might have to make 2 whole trips. It might take you half an hour just to get everything from your car to the room. So you have to research all that stuff in advance. Yes.
It was very interesting for you to know where you could walk in the frame.
Yes.
Because as a old retired university, when I saw my audience starting to doze off,
Oh yeah.
I would walk around the room.
Yeah.
I had their
Walk
attention.
a little closer to them. Say,
Yes.
yes, and a little bit of eye contact.
So I tend to do that. But
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about the space that you need to be in as a speaker.
Yes. Well, that happened to me. I did a presentation once, and there was actually an audiovisual team. They had cameras on the stage and everything, and I just assumed that the camera was going to follow me, and it didn't. The camera was fixed. So I was outside of the frame for half of my presentation from the recording that I got. I mean, people could see me on the stage, but I didn't realize that I was outside the camera frame. So for my video, I'm not even in the video for half of my speech. So that was very eye-opening. So don't assume that just because they have an AV team, they're going to really help you. You really have to know what they're doing, what they're not going to be able to do, and make sure you're getting what you're asking for. Okay, so a little bit of the extras here on when you craft your presentation. Again, if you're going to video the event, please stay in the frame and walk that out, work that through with a practice. Books or programs to sell. Again, make sure you have enough. Try to pre-plan so you don't have to unnecessarily carry a lot of books in that you'll have to carry home. And then this may or may not be something you've already thought about, but if you are selling books in bulk, what type of a discount are you willing to give to people? I've seen all ranges, very, very minor discounts to very large discounts. It has to be something you're comfortable with. I mean, it could be as little as 5 books. They get maybe, I don't know, 1 book free or something. But I've seen it where you have to buy at least 20 to get any kind of a discount. So it's all over the map. It has to be something that you're comfortable with. But do at least consider that. And then handouts, note-taking forms. I have one that I'll hand out at the end for you. I've got branded note-taking forms that just have lines all the way down the paper. It's just my logo in the very top. Of people that want to take notes, then they have another little bit of my information with them that if they do want to call me later, they have my phone number on their note-taking page. Any other types of like rack cards or flyers or leaflets? I mentioned the bookmarks, like the gentleman has the bookmark. I've done bookmarks where I've laminated them and just like it's staples. So you have something to give someone that's very inexpensive and quick and easy to produce, and it only costs maybe 25 or 50 cents. Feedback forms are always important. People need to know how they're doing. People want to know, was it fun? Was it interesting? Did I talk about stuff that was helpful to you? Did I talk about stuff that wasn't really of any interest to you? So you put those information, those types of questions on the forums so you can gather that information from your audiences. Testimonials, we'll have an opportunity if you'd like after we're done here today to help me by giving me a little video testimonial, what you thought of the presentation. And those testimonials are very easy. They only have to be 1 or 2 sentences. Oh, Dave did a great presentation today. I really loved his jokes. I really felt engaged, and he just seemed to really answer all the questions I had. That's it. That's all you need. And to get 3 or 4 people to do that for you, it gives you a lot of really, really great marketing material for future events. Now, if you're using AI, a lot of people are using AI. There's all kinds of ones out there. I use the one called Claude. I just seem to like that a lot. It's free, and it generally gives me some really good information. But I say use the President Reagan method. Trust, but verify. Don't just take it, as a blanket statement that it's going to be good, because they have this thing called where AI hallucinates. It makes up stuff that's completely non-factual. It just creates all this information that looks good, but it's just completely untrue information. So you have to be careful. One of the safe ways to do it, which I use it mostly for this reason, is to have it give me ideas. Like ideas on words to use, or how to make a title, a real interesting title, or take something that I've written that's maybe not too punchy and ask the AI to kind of dress it up a bit. And so that gives me stuff that I know is either thoughts of mine, titles that I've come up with, descriptions of things that I've come up with. It just moves words around, uses different words, and puts it in maybe a different sense of some sort that makes it more fun or exciting, and basically will give you something that people will latch onto a lot more than something that you felt it's just not really too grabby or too catchy.
In September, September or October, Fauzi of Work is going to
Okay, cool.
and she's a PR.
That,
She's
yeah, that'd be real helpful. That'd be really, really good. It can be, yes, absolutely. And then always have an assistant or employee or spouse to help you. Don't try to do a big presentation to a group all by yourself. Get the help you need. And also, we get the video. Also, Mary Jo's taken a few photos of me today. Use any speaking presentation that you do as a marketing opportunity for future presentations. That is certainly one of the things, even if you're doing it for free and you're not getting any pay for it, you can certainly at least get some good marketing material for future events. Okay. So we have a little bit of time for questions. Yes.
Your presentation is all about speaking.
Yes.
75% of my speaking.
Okay.
Do you ever talk about that? How I present myself?
Right.
How I present myself to a lot.
Yeah. So it's on like Zoom
Not
calls.
live, but yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've been summits, podcasts.
Okay. Right.
Workshops, webinars.
Okay. So you're like basically a talking head.
A what?
Talking head, like the newscasters.
Yeah,
Yes. So there's a couple of things on that, just real quickly. You definitely want to, if you can, somehow engage the other people either by name or by where they're coming from, because even though you're seeing all the faces in the boxes, there's a real sense of being kind of aloof and separated. So try to use their names, try to talk about where they're from, ask for a lot of input, a lot of audience participation, where they can maybe like put in the chat where they're from, or put in the chat, like if it's authors, maybe the genre that they're in. Is it fiction, nonfiction, self-help, whatever. Get a lot of interaction. Not that they're taking a lot of time talking about it, but they're just putting it in the chat, and everybody can read it at their own at their leisure while they're listening to you doing your presentation. Also, you want to look at the camera. Our sense is to always look at the screen. If you're probably on a laptop doing this. How are you? Okay, so you have the camera on a little stand, maybe on the desk. Right. Okay. So, do you feel comfortable looking dead into the camera? Pretty much. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They won't. I'm sorry.
It varies per platform. Like Zoom does compensate a little bit for so you can actually
Okay.
whereas some are
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay. Because I know I've seen where people they're looking at their screen and you can see from their face that they're looking at the screen, and I don't know, it just isn't the same relation as like in here, like we're right looking at each other and talking to each other. It's
Well,
a
I've recorded all my
okay.
so I can see, and it does look like
Oh, okay. So that's the thing. Unfortunately, a lot of people won't say anything. They don't want to offend you, or they don't know how to say it in the right words. I would say looking at your recordings is one of the best ways to do it, to get better. Yeah, absolutely. So I would do that and just practice a little bit and
watch other people.
watch other people. But even just set up a Zoom or something and practice, just for you to have it and just delete it. That's one of the things a technique I use is if you're anxious about doing a selfie video to promote your book or your business, do one without even looking at it. Just do it and delete it, and you'll have something under your belt. You'll have done one, and the next time you can do it and actually watch it, and then the next time you can do it and actually show it to somebody, and you incrementally get a little more difficult, and that's the best way to get better at those things.
teach myself to look
Okay. Yes.
so
Yep. Yeah. Definitely.
I
Definitely.
think lighting is really important.
Yep.
That's why a lot of people have ring lights, but you can also
Right. Yeah. Lighting isn't really important. The sound quality is really important, and the lighting is really important. So you want to try to get the best qualities of those two items so that you come across as professional and knowledgeable and more of an expert, so people will feel comfortable talking to you. Did you have a question?
I was gonna suggest putting the picture.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Because, when you're looking dead into the camera, it sometimes gets a little, I don't know, it just feels weird in a way. But you want to get to the point where you're doing that comfortably, and that takes a little bit of practice. But the first few times, it is very kind of off-putting. Oh yeah, your cat, cat or dog? We have one of both, one of each. So
I've seen some presentations. They get on a guy's wearing a backwards baseball.
very very casual,
Yeah,
almost too casual.
yeah. I mean, I grew up in New York. But,
Yep.
and also a poor speaker. I was interviewed for a summit, and she
Yes.
her hair out,
Yes.
So if I do summits, sometimes either get my interview questions
Yes.
and send
That's
back
great.
the ones I want, or
I've done
have
that
the
most of the
option on
time.
some summits to pre-record.
Yep.
So that we don't have to be at the mercy of an interview.
There you go. Yeah, those are all great ideas. I've done the pre-scripted questions. That helps both the interviewer and the interviewee. That's a great idea. All right. Okay, so we have a wrap up here, the big finale. Okay, let's give away some free stuff. So I've got a couple of questions. What I would like to ask is, does anybody remember, let's do it by memory. Does anybody remember my mission? When I went to that horrible presentation, I said, I'm going to have a new mission. Yes, absolutely. Ding, 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 ding. There you go. I'm going to jump out of the frame for just 1 second here, and I'm more than happy to autograph that, actually, after the meeting. Okay, we have a few minutes. Let's see. So I mentioned there were 3 things for being a great speaker. It was the last couple of slides about 3 things for a great speaker. The first one was be relevant. Yes, ding, 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 ding. Yes, that's again, I will be happy to autograph that if you'd like. And now we have a gift certificate to the coffee shop next door, $10. Yeah. Well, everybody can win. Everybody can win. What was the conference that I went to that had that horrible speaker?
The alien landing.
Yes. Do you remember the name?
Contact in the desert.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for listening. That is the biggest alien conference in the country. It's on its 11th year this coming May. Okay. So really quickly, I'd like to go around just 2 or 3 people. What did we learn today? What was something that you thought was really interesting that you never knew before? Or maybe something that you already knew and we kind of confirmed it for you?
I learned several things. I learned things I don't know that I have to learn more about.
Okay, sure.
The technical things, I made a whole list, but I don't know any of that.
Okay,
So I have to put that
nice.
up. I learned to,
Okay, yes. I live by checklists.
I've done a lot of
Yes.
speaking and I haven't done a checklist.
Hmm.
I've done a lot of it. Have with me.
Yeah, checklists will really help a lot.
And use props.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I don't really have any real props today, but even a prop can be just a word on foam core, a big 2-foot long word like laugh, big L-A-U-G-H.
Well, this
Anything.
is about the second wave of feminism.
Yes,
And I am going to find an old girl.
there you go. There you go.
When I talk to ladies,
That's a
I'm
good
going to
one.
pull out a girl.
That would be perfect. Anybody else? Any other thoughts? Yeah.
So, I'm sure I learned more than one thing I learned that I really
Yes, like a note-taking sheet. Yeah.
You should have had that today.
Oh,
but I learned that I think
okay, great. Yeah, I have used that a lot. I thought about bringing some today, and I should have. But that's a good point.
You don't always know how much.
You don't exactly. You, yeah. Yep. Yes.
I like the idea of the discovery call, find out what they want.
Yes. That's really important because then you walk in knowing that you're going to be giving them something that they'll be interested in, and you'll know in advance that they're going to listen and they're going to like you to some degree. I mean, throughout the course of your speech, you may negate that, but basically you start off by knowing that you're giving them something that they want. Thank you. Very good, very good. All righty. So, oh, yes.
So signing things.
Okay. If you pass those to the back. Yes. So what I'm going to do now, this is only going to take just a moment. I'm just confused if you pass that back too. These, yes, please everyone take one and pass them along. And so as part of my presentation, what I would like you to do, you don't have to complete it right this second, but I'd certainly like you to date it and sign it. And this is to be a contract in a way, a promise in a way, to go out and use some techniques in the near future. Next time you have a speaking opportunity, whether it's a PTA meeting, or you're going to speak to the county supervisors, or you're going to do a small presentation at your church, or you're going to do a financial review of the quarterly finances for a club you're in, whatever it is, any situation, professional or personal, that you're going to try one or two of these little techniques. You're going to use maybe a video, or maybe you're going to tell a story, or maybe you're going to dress up, or maybe you're going to bring in some props. Oh, there we go. Yeah, pet pigs. It would be perfectly aligned for that book. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'll tell a quick story that is relevant to
Yes.
a little bit of about, well, I guess it was 2019, and then it'll be relevant. I gave a presentation conference of book selling. I'm a publisher, so I was giving a presentation, and it had to be 5 minutes. And I worked for weeks. I can speak 45 minutes, no problem. That
Yes.
5 minutes really freaked me out. And I tightened my less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
Really worried about that and nervous about that right up until I was, I think, the second or third speaker. Sadly, now, not at the time, but the first speaker was who had retired from basketball and was writing a series of books. He was the first one to speak, and he spoke 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. I think he spoke for 17 minutes.
Wow.
I could feel myself just sort of relaxing, and I knew that my 5 minute and 20 second was cool.
Gonna be
I stood up
great.
there and I was confident. I was just gonna go 20 seconds over. But you gotta think about that. You gotta
Yes.
get in your head.
Sounds perfect. Sounds
And
perfect. Yeah. Well, I think it was Mark Twain that had a presentation once, and he said, my speech would have been shorter if I'd had more time to write it. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, so just feel free to fill out that before you leave, and take it with you. Don't turn it in, but take it with you, and you can be looking at it, and you can use those techniques in any sort of public or a personal or professional meeting. Oh, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, inspirational close. You're going to love this one. I have a premonition. It soars on silvered wings. I dream of your accomplishments and other wondrous things. I do not know beneath which sky nor where you'll conquer fate. I only know it will be high. I only know you're great. And we'll do some video testimonials outside if you'd like. And a minute and a half late. But thank you so much for all your ideas, all your comments, all your questions. Thank you. You've been great. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys. And I am available. I am a business coach. I do this for my living, and I'd love to chat with you at some point.
I have a question.